Thank you for listening to this episode. Make sure you come back for the next episode covering the points of this conversation.
And follow the podcast on social media by finding @Prestigious_Pod.
Follow me, Mr. Kent, at Mr. Chris R. Kent.
Follow me, Chris Bean, at Chris Bean Official.
Join our Discord for exclusive content and personal interactions.
And if you'd like to be coached on how to live a more prestigious life, you can reach out to me, Chris Bean, on one of my social media platforms, or by emailing the podcast directly at prestigiousinitiative@gmail.com.
Lastly, sign up for our newsletter either through social media or on our website. This is the Prestigious Initiative. Welcome. I'm Chris Kent. Here with me today, I have the privilege of hosting Quentin Carter Jr., a brilliant mind with a background in particle physics and software engineering. Quentin is the founder of a cutting-edge tech company that's revolutionizing the industry. Let's delve into his fascinating journey from being a physicist to the innovative advancements brought to us by his new software application, BetterLyfe. Quentin, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for joining me. Hey, can you give us a little bit of your background before we kind of dive into our conversation, how you got to where you are and what kind of interests you in what you're doing now?
Yeah. So I started getting into, actually, if I'm being 100% honest, I would say that I started getting into physics, particle physics, before I even knew it. I used to love Big Bang Theory. At the time, I was really into sports. So I really, like being a physicist or whatever, that wasn't really a goal of mine at the time. I didn't even know that I was really interested in it. Then around, I'd say even earlier, before my peers, maybe sophomore, junior year of high school, started really getting into quantum mechanics and just fascinated with a lot of the theories and, God particle and things of that nature, kind of just the basic understanding of the universe and stuff like that. And then as I got into college, my freshman year, I worked with a physics professor on his thesis on quantum computers and qubits. And then as I'm still a major in particle physics now, but I like to delve in different things as well, such as cybersecurity, business, finances, just kind of will to love to learn, love knowledge and things of that nature. So, yeah, so I kind of would like to say a jack of all trades with just a center specialization in physics and particle physics.
Yeah, and definitely, like you said, a love of learning to kind of delve into some of those realms because, for the quote unquote common person, it's a lot of brain power required to kind of delve into some of those things. And it's funny to hear you say you just kind of fell into it, but also cool to hear how it tied into different things in your life. And, you loved Big Bang Theory, but then also kind of fell into some of the other stuff. And then I know you mentioned it, but what happened with the sports aspect? Did that kind of fall to the side, or do you still, participate in some of those things?
Yeah. So I played baseball at McEachern High School. I played varsity as a sophomore all the way up to a senior. And I had a chance, to play in college, but I decided that I kind of wanted to focus on my studies and things of that nature. And then when I really started getting into it, I just started realizing that I love being a learner and being into my studies. I had been playing baseball since I was around 3 years old. So that was like my whole life up to that point. And yeah, I kind of still, I would say, mentoring. I have a brother, and I actually have two brothers that play baseball. And my oldest brother, younger than me, the oldest one, he's in high school right now, one of the better players in the state of Georgia. So I kind of, I would say mentor, just actually, if I'm being honest, the physics realm kind of correlates to baseball in a lot of ways, kind of using, my knowledge of physics and the understanding of, mass and velocity and things like that. And, bat path, just using that knowledge that I can use, to give him those edges and things of that nature. So, it's funny how things correlate. And yeah, so that's kind of where the baseball thing went. And also in the future, I would love to, correlate sports with the knowledge of physics, because I do believe that there is, ways in which we could exploit, sports with a deeper understanding of physics.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really cool to hear you say that. I don't think I ever would have put those two things together, but how the physics relates to the sports. And it's great to hear that you're still having that learning mindset, learning more about physics and applying it to the sports that you love, plus being able to help others out is definitely awesome. So, can you tell us a little bit about Better Life? What inspired you to create this new software, and how does it contribute to our society?
Yeah, yeah. So um, I run a tech startup that's kind of revolves around innovative solutions. We center around just tech that we feel is going to, make a positive impact on society, but at the same time be cool and kind of make that new cutting edge, kind of, I would say, futuristic take on it. Um, so as getting into Better Life, we kind of one of the things that I try to do when it comes to innovating is I answer problems that I have in my everyday life. I believe that that's the easiest way to, create a solution to a problem is, identify problems you have throughout their everyday life through, your family. Like, what are some problems that they feel like, oh, this is a problem that they have, and I can provide a solution to that. Um, so with digital software, there was a couple of things that we felt like we could tackle, as in misinformation. We've seen that that's a big problem. Um, just content assortion or curated content, algorithms and things of that nature. And we've seen that was not only a problem for me, like, if I go on as a consumer or as a customer, to these, different applications and softwares, that was not only a problem that I had, but the masses had. Because at the same time, it could be a problem that I feel like is a problem, but if nobody else thinks it's a problem, then it's not actually a problem that needs a solution. But if more than one person feels like this is a problem that needs a solution, it's like, okay, well, maybe we should try to tackle this. So and it was very challenging, when it comes to the ideation stage, because you're at the point where, like, okay, we have this problem and we know we want to apply something digital software to create the solution, but, just technically how, um, and then that's when it started off actually as a project called Think It, uh, for content creators to kind of be able to express themselves more openly, and kind of be able to connect with each other faster than ever. And then eventually it's like, what they say, just when you start something, you never know where it's really going to go. And then we started seeing that, okay, we can make this a little bit different, a little bit bigger. Then it became something where we're like, okay, the software and the algorithms that we have, we feel like this could, improve everyday productivity. Like, this is not only something that content creators can use, as a regular customer. This could, just improve your daily output, between your short term and your long term goals. If you have a short term goal, as in, by 5 p.m. I need to get this done, or, a long term goal is in 3 months, I want to be able to learn this, or I want to be able to harness this skill. We started seeing that what we were making, was able to do that. So visually, I handle all the conceptual things. I'm more of the visionary. So I was like, okay, well, now it's time for a rebrand, and then at that point, it's like, okay, well, what do we feel like that entails? And then that's when, Better Life came into the thing. And now we're even rebranding even more, to the Life app.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure. Well, there's a lot of things I think I'd like to unpack there. Number one, starting with the idea that, as you said, when you start to get into something, you never know where it's going to go, and it's really cool to hear how you started in one area, dealing with some digital things for content creators and having them kind of refine that, and then you realize that there's so much more that could be done, and so much more or different place you could go with that, and you're able to pivot and do some rebranding, like you said, and that's really cool because I think a a common tendency for us as humans in any realm, really, I think, is that we get an idea of what something should be, what we want it to be, and then we get stuck to that. And then we stick with that and try to force it into this little box when sometimes that's okay, but other times if we just let it kind of have a mind of its own and let it become its own thing, we never know where it's going to go. So it's cool to hear that you're open to having the pivot happen and having it let it become its own thing. And on top of that, I really appreciate and well, for lack of a better word, I'm excited to hear that your vision and your ideas are for the betterment of not just one thing, but everybody. And so I'd asked you, how does this benefit our society? And as you said, you think it can help us with productivity, help us with goal setting, help us with focusing on things that are important to us. And so being able to not only use it for one specific thing, being able to apply it to everything and help us to live and lead a better life is really awesome. And it's great to hear that you have such a practical drive. And as you said, you looked at your life and said, okay, what are common things in my life or people I know's life that need a solution? And you're starting to get into that and kind of see where that leads. And I think that's really awesome because as you're talking, I'm thinking in my head, you're walking in the grocery store and you see some random contraption that does a very specific thing, and you look at it and you think, oh man, that would be helpful, that would be practical. And it sounds like you're doing that not so much in a physical realm right now, not to say it couldn't happen later, but on that digital realm and having something that can help you practically. I really love to hear that that's where you're kind of going with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, your background in particle physics is intriguing and really interesting. How did your journey from physics lead you to software engineering? And what do you think, what kind of perspective do you think that helped you to bring to your tech ventures?
Yeah. So actually, I never thought I would be doing any software. I'd be a software engineer. And leading into college, my senior year of high school, I was, like I said, that's when I was really starting to take physics, to that next level. I was really excited, primarily like theoretical physics and just, advanced concepts. And, I was a little ahead of my former students, as I like to tell people, I'm not the greatest mathematician. I wouldn't even say I'm the greatest physicist or the best physicist in the room, but I just love, I have a love for curiosity, love for knowledge, and I love these concepts, so I kind of took it a little further than my, students or my classmates. And, I was kind of reading up on general relativity and, things that you probably wouldn't, usually get into into graduate school and things of that nature. And, asking my teacher, like, okay, if this is this, then, well, what does this mean? And I remember I think I asked one of the math teachers about pi and do you believe that there's some type of relation there to gravity because of, the gravity being 9.3 squared and with that looking like it had some correlation to do with the number of pi, just things like that. And, things that I don't want to say the normal student, but just the average student in the AP physics class just wasn't trying to, accomplish, and leading into that, as a freshman in college, I went to my professors and just did the same things. And I'm very excited because now I'm not only talking to high school teachers, I'm talking to, professionals in the field. And, that's just something very exciting for me. Like I said, I love the knowledge, I love the information, I love asking questions, and as a freshman in college, it can be a little, scary, going to, your professor's office. You're not really familiar with it, but that was something I had to conquer. And I got very lucky and I ran into an engineering, because I started out as an engineering major, actually, because physics, I learned that it was hard to get a job in physics and out of college and things of that nature. So I was an engineering major and I ran into a guy named Dr. Kelly Carter. He had the same, last name as me, but me and him talked, and he just would tell me. He was very inspiring and influential, and he just tell me like, keep doing what you're doing. You're thinking out of the box, and you're kind of doing things that the freshmen in college aren't doing, or asking the questions that they aren't asking. And then he introduced me to a another professor, and this was a physics professor working on a thesis and with quantum computers. And then he started, talking about qubits. And I had in quantum computation, and I had some type of knowledge of it before. Like I said, I do a lot of self research and things of that nature. So I had a broad concept of it already, probably what he didn't know that I've already had. And as into that, he told me like, okay, well, if you want to be part of this, what I'm doing, you have to know how to code. At that time, I had no idea how to code. I never even got into it. And then he introduced me to HackerRank and Python. And I kind of just, as a freshman in college, just taught myself how to code. And just in my room, kind of teaching myself code and learning the beginner steps and getting to those points. And like I say, I don't think I'm the best software engineer, but I'm very into, being self-taught. When I have a drive for something, it's easier for me to, hyper focus on it. So yeah, I taught myself code, and then eventually didn't know it, but here we are today, and it's very helpful. At the time, I didn't know I'd be, creating an application, with a startup, but partnering with software engineers. But now, those skills seem to have, helped me a lot.
Yeah, and hearing you tell that part of your story and kind of tying it back into earlier where you talked about being someone who's passionate about learning, I think a big part of that is, as you said, being inquisitive and being curious. So you talked about asking your teachers questions about things that you thought had correlations or things that the quote unquote normal person might not be trying to dive into. That obviously has paid off for you, and we can see it being helpful in this venture now because you were learning coding back then, didn't know you need it now, but good thing you did learn it, and you can continue to learn, and always having that kind of inquisitive, curious, and intrigued mind, and kind of letting that drive you toward more learning is proving to be beneficial for you. I think we could all benefit from a little bit of curiosity and that drive to learn more, and then just to seek that knowledge. And it's great to hear that that's got you, helped to get you where you are. And I hope it continues to pay off for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so you mentioned you're from Georgia, and I'm sure that adds kind of a unique flavor to your story. How do you think that your background, being in and around that location, has influenced your approach to technology and innovation?
Oh yeah, definitely. And this is something I'm very excited about. Kind of running, or being the founder of an innovation solution type company. Um, I really want to. I want to kind of change the aspect on science and innovation and creativity, because not only do I feel like that'll make it quote unquote cool to the youth. If the youth believes that innovation and creativity and tech is cool, and then this is something that isn't just something for nerds, or that misconception. It'll also lead to an advancement in technology, because it won't be just okay, I want to grow up and be a athlete, or the next LeBron James. It's like we have more youth growing up and wanting to be tech ventures and things of that nature, and minorities, and all cultures. So being from Atlanta, I mean, it's very musical culture. It's very hip hop, very, just, I would say, trendy. And I try to use those things that I have, and delve that into my tech, and into my innovation and creativity. And I think that that's what makes me unique, and makes what we're doing and my company unique, is because I believe that we have the foundations to make it something that's bigger than we even think it's going to be. and impact the future generations. Kind of change the whole aspect of tech and creativity and learning and innovation. And like I said, make it cool, make it something that's trendy. Like, and that's what I think that being from Atlanta does for me. And you don't really run into many people who say, yeah, I delve in particle physics and things, especially as a minority in Atlanta. So already, when I tell people those things, I don't want to say I get a certain look, but just a certain surprise, like, oh wow, okay. Like they don't hear that every day. And to be able to use those views and like I said, take it and make it like this thing into the new trendy culture and things of that nature is my goals. And I think that's definitely what Atlanta does for me, and being from Atlanta and inspired by, the different fashion trends and hip hop and just all types of music and art and all those things. I believe that it does for me and for my brand as well, kind of, sets us apart from, similar companies and innovation solution, type companies.
Definitely, yeah. All those things you mentioned kind of add that unique flavor, as I mentioned, to what you're doing, and I'm sure those influences come through. But I like what you're saying, and the part of what I like is how you're mentioning being, you didn't say it in these words, but being an inspiration for others. Others can see what you're doing, see where you're going, and the trend that you're setting, and the model that you can be for other people. And I think that is really awesome, to have that desire to be that positive influence and be something and someone that people can look up to. And I know already from our conversation, you have your two brothers that you're working with, and I'm sure they're looking up to you, not to mention tons of other people
Yeah.
that hear your story and where you are and what you're doing. So, hats off to you for that. That's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I kind of want to get a little bit more into your startup and your business and kind of what's going on. So I believe that your company can leverage abstract thinking, like you said, trying to think outside of the box, come up with different solutions and new ideas. Can you elaborate on how this thinking, this outside of the box, abstract thinking, might contribute to the development of your technologies a little bit?
Yeah. So from the foundation of the culture as a whole, I try to, push creativity, push innovative thinking, push thinking outside the box. And another thing that I feel is that makes us unique is we encourage, bringing in those people who wouldn't usually fit into the normal workforce, um, because they're so creative that they, you know, doing specific tasks kind of, steers them one way, or they can't, particularly stay focused on one thing. They're just so creative and things of that nature. And I believe that being artsy and artistic views is very impactful as well, because they have a vision that a lot of people don't have. Um, so as a core foundation of the company, we definitely promote that. And what we also do is, I don't know if you've ever heard of neurodivergent thinkers. You have neurodivergent and you have neurotypical thinkers. A neurotypical thinker is just kind of a thinker that is able to function in everyday society without any problems, and is just kind of thinks, in the way in which society needs them to think. Neurodivergent thinkers they kind of like I said, think out of the box. They usually run into struggles in which they can't fit into the normal workforce or the normal society, and because they think so much out of the box. And actually the statistics on that is that most neurodivergent thinkers are in the 98th percentile of intelligence. And you have people like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, and those guys were all neurodivergent thinkers, kind of to the point where, Tesla, where you think they're crazy or something of that nature, but, maybe they're just really misunderstood. And, we really promote those thinkers. And actually that when it comes to unemployment, 40% of unemployed workers are neurodivergent thinkers, just because they just don't fit into the normal workforce, compared to 10% being disabled and 5% just being the national average of unemployed. 40% is neurodivergent thinkers. So there is a big problem when it comes to being neurodivergent and not being able to think in the way in which society wants you to think, or the workforce wants you to behave. And there's actually a rise in neurodivergent thinkers, and there's a rise in the new generation and them being born. And over the last decade, there's been a 50% rise in the birth of neurodivergent thinkers. So I believe personally that we're reaching a point in which neurodivergent thinkers may become the neurotypical thinker, or maybe in a sense, the neurodivergent thinker is what we are expressing as we're seeing a kind of a change in the terrain, a change in, the workforce and just of it all. Because once these neurodivergent thinkers and these new generations being born and they become the normal workforce, at that point, what do you call it? Do you still call them neurodivergent thinkers? Because now they're the main society, right? So it's like, it's at that point you kind of reach a awkward point, and that's what we try to we're trying to hop on that curve. Microsoft is also doing the same thing as they're trying to promote bringing in neurodivergent thinkers and being creative and innovative, because neurodivergent thinkers are known to be very artistic and very creative, very innovative, and things of that nature. So they're trying to bring those in, and we kind of use very different AI techniques to be able to promote these neurodivergent thinkers so they can use the way in which they learn differently and things of that nature, to bring it in and function as a team, or function in the company to, solve these problems and things of that nature. And like I said, I also believe this is what makes us unique as well. And we be able to tackle problems and solutions and, create tech that maybe would have never even been thought of, or, like someone's like, wow, that's very interesting. Having those individuals that are just very kind of different.
Absolutely, yeah. And not only is it cool to hear that that's your perspective of it, but also it's great to hear how knowledgeable you are and how aware you are of, the situation and what's going on, and you're doing something about it. And as you said, I'm sure that trying to lean into that sort of um, approach is going to be very beneficial to you, because you're going to have that different kind of quote unquote not normal way of thinking. Again, that I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's great to hear that you're leaning into it and you're aware of it and you're working with it, and also giving opportunities to people who are normally, pushed to the side by the society who says they don't think this the right way, but instead you're tapping into that and using that to your advantage. And I think that's awesome. And, we talked about, well, in this concept, we're talking about how this kind of really affects not only you, but also us as a society. And as we mentioned earlier, your technology is going to be a society kind of advancing technology. And I'm just curious because, I think a lot of people can be kind of scared by what technology is capable of, where technology is going, and what things can be done with technology. So, how does your company ensure that the technologies you develop have a positive impact on society rather than and something negative?
Right, right. Just like I said, we definitely we want it to be a positive impact on society. Everything we make, positive impacts, nothing that not in kind of setting a culture that it's not about the dollar, but it's about the mission. It's not about being a Fortune 500 company that's making 500 billion or this and that, but more so being about, oh, I'm sorry, did I cut out?
No, you're good. Yeah, yeah, you're here.
Okay, okay. Just more so being about, about the mission, and being about being creative and innovative. I believe that once you steer towards your mission, being towards, creating about the dollar, you kind of steer off of that maybe positive impact, and things of that nature. And, so just at the core of it all, I believe it starts with the culture, and at the same time, it starts with me. And in my everyday life, I just do everything that I can to be a positive person, to be a positive impact on society. Just maybe if I'm walking in the store and, just being grateful, or, just kind of being a person that says thank you, just little things like that, kind of sets that example, leading into the heart of the company. And I believe that will build a foundation of just being positive and, having this positive outlook on everything. Because, at the core of it all, I believe that it starts with me, and I have to set the example. I can't be a hypocrite. I can't be some person who says, okay, we promote society advancing technology, and then I'm going doing something that's, not positive. I believe that not only with me being a hypocrite or being someone that's losing credibility, but I believe that customers will start to believe like, okay, well, how can we trust that they're doing things that are leading positive towards society if this is their image and things of that nature. So like, just in everyday life, being a positive person. Every impact you're making is just a positive impact, even if it's just as little as holding the door open for someone, helping, older person cross the street, just little things like that, really sets the foundation and culture for, a positive impact on society. And then when it goes into your creative and innovative solutions, because like I said, a lot of the things that I find, are answers that I see in everyday life. And this is just like, okay, wow, this is something that could positively impact society. Let me see if this is something that we could tackle, So I have projects, just stashed up like, okay, maybe in 2 to 3 years, okay, this is something that we could look at. And, just all of them being things that could, work into being a positive impact on society. And, the scary part about it, or I would say the devil advocates part about it, is we can never truly control where it goes, So with our company, or the way in which we tackle things, we kind of, are taking an approach on a build to exit strategy, just so we can promote innovation and not get too focused on a core product. And so when we do that, we can't really control, whose hands it gets into next. So my goal, and I believe this is the hardest part of it all, is when we create that foundation, when we build it from the ground up, it has to be something that's truly innovative for a positive impact. And we have to take into account all the ways in which it can be steered wrong. And then that point, we have to say, okay, well, is it worth doing? Because if we do this and we do make this and we leave this early exit strategy, if it can go this way and someone decides to take it this way because this is something that can make them, so much money, but it loses that positive impact, is it worth us even doing it? And that's one of the questions that, we have to ask just at the ideation stage. It's just like, okay, where can it go and where can it go wrong? Because I believe that you always have to look at both sides. And I also try to live into the, you have a plan, but there's always the unexpected that comes with the plan as well. And you never know what's going to happen, and you have to be ready for that. There's always going to be something that you can't plan for. So I believe that's the toughest part, not even the innovation, not the mathematics, not the engineering. It's just kind of being that visionary that says, okay, but where can this go wrong? And trying to, trying to touch out 5 to 10 years ahead when you're not even there yet, right? Trying to solve a solution 5 to 10 years ahead that you don't even know where it's going to go or arise. I believe that's the toughest part of it all.
Yeah, like you said, you can't know what's going to happen. You can't know what's going to happen with what you're creating and what you're doing, but you can kind of plan it out or play it out and say, okay, what are the possibilities? And within those possibilities, what can we do to try to mitigate the negative impact this could have, and kind of take that into consideration. And it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning was, being someone who has specific goals specific values and holds certain things to be important, and incorporating that into your mission and your core. And so if you have a goal and a mission to be that positive change, and then everything that you do is focused around those values, those goals, and those that core identity you've created, it's only going to help to push you continually in that good direction. And like you said, you can't know what's going to happen, but with the right intention, you can try to steer it in a way that is going to be more positive, and kind of try to mitigate the negative parts of that. And that's not only do I think it's responsible, but it's admirable that you're aware of that. And it's great to hear, that as much as you want to be successful and make money, at the end of the day, it's about doing the right thing and being able to help people. And I think that'll get you far with that good intention.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, of
Definitely.
course.
I hope.
Yeah, yeah. So your, the tech kind of world, the tech industry is ever evolving. What are some challenges that you faced, and when you're bringing your ideas to life, how do you kind of navigate everything constantly changing and constantly being different?
Wow. Yeah. That is definitely a struggle because you never know where it's going to go next. So you kind of just always have to be on the balls of your feet. You always have to be ready to shift. And that's why I kind of like we did with Think It, and we changed it to Better Life. Now we're going to the Life app. Just kind of those things, just being able to be versatile, or kind of like I said, we have a plan, but we don't have to stick to it. There's always going to be the unexpected, and we have to be able to shift and make those changes as necessary, and as timely as possible. I believe that that's probably one of the most important things, is being timely. So I would say keeping that mindset, as in, there's a plan, but there's no set plan. There's never any set plan, especially when it comes to innovative and creative thinking. You could be at something, and then it turns into a totally different thing you never even thought of, yourself. This was something you didn't even have wrote up in a prototype. So it's like, I believe taking that aspect of it really helps in the tech industry, because I believe that maybe competitors, or you know uh, other companies that may be similar, may run into the problem where they have this plan, and they're like, okay, let's stick to the plan. This is the way in which we want to do it, and this is where we want it to go. And I kind of promote a thinking of, this is the way we wanted to do it, but we have no idea where it's going to go.
Mm.
So I believe that thinking like that not only sets us apart, but helps us, stay in that ever changing, tech innovation industry, where there could be something that arises tomorrow that has us shift everything that we're working on. But that's no problem for us, because we were ready for that from the start.
Definitely, yeah. And we already covered how you can be adaptable, and as you said, kind of thinking on the balls of your feet, and moving around with things. Again, I think it ties into having that idea of what you want, and having those goals and aspirations, and no matter what the road might change or turn into, you know where you want to end up, and you can kind of be flexible and kind of navigate your way through that. And thinking of that, you've already talked about being a visionary, and it's very clear that you have aspirations for what you want Better Life to be. And so I'm just kind of wondering, how do you envision Better Life in the future, and part of that role in shaping technology, and kind of, what do you want Better Life to turn into in the next, let's say 5 years?
Yeah. So I'd say that this is, if we ever do have a core product, something that we built from the ground, and want to keep a very tight knit um, influence on, I would say it'll be this. It'll be the Life app. It'll be this digital framework, and because I believe that the digital world, is ultimately the future. The digital world is something that we are in every day. As of right now, we're having a digital, interview. So it's like, this is the next. And it's so funny you say that, because, just like we were talking about, the new Vision Pros, and the way in which we have the Life app, I immediately was like, wow, this is amazing, because not that I love the Vision Pros, because I really do like them. I believe the design, just the overall look and appeal of it could be a little different, but I'm pretty sure there's some engineering aspects in which they had problems with. But just the overall, the way in which it is, and how you can, you have this interface where you can still see, you can be walking down the street and still tuned into this digital reality. I was like, wow, this is perfect. I mean, like, this is the Life app, like being able to take that digital framework and combine it with, just the physical reality, and immediately, just ideas on top of ideas, like, wow, well, if people are wearing Vision Pros in the future, wow, we can implement this, and this will be great for this. And, oh, wow, this could definitely lead to productivity, because, just like, oh, we could use this aspect because of, now what people are able to do. And then, like I said, that just goes back to what we were saying about being on the balls of your feet, and not really having a plan that you want to stick to. Because if we had a plan that we want to stick to, and then, some groundbreaking, disruptor or company or innovation is made, you lose, and that's a big thing of me, is not that I don't like to lose, because I know that losing is can be a good thing because you learn from it. But I'm a very competitive person. I would say that I'm driven, and from what I've learned, that I'm a little driven than most. So, kind of stand on your balls of your feet, and being open to all these different innovations and solutions, and being able to take from them, just like with the Vision Pros, and being able to see how you can have 3 different apps open at one time. I'm like, wow, okay, well, let's implement this then, well, if they can have, just little things like that. I believe, helps us with that.
Definitely, yeah. And like you said, it's a exciting time to be looking to the future, as there's innovations happening every day, and you can kind of use those, adapt to those, and have an idea of where you might go. So yeah, that's definitely
Mhm.
exciting. Now,
Yeah, kind of like backing off of them. Yeah.
oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Well, using what's available to you, like you said, that the future is digital, and the future is going to be intertwined with technology, and being able to see that and kind of get ahead of that, I think, is important, because it is rapidly changing, and it's coming now. We think, oh, 50 years in the future we'll be here with these advancements, but they're here now. Look at AI, and yeah, like you said, look at the Vision Pros, and virtual reality and all that stuff. It's here now, and being able to work with that, adapt with that, piggyback off that is important, because we need people looking to the future and looking ahead, because it'll be here sooner than we think.
Yep.
Now, someone who successfully merged physics, technology, works on all these inspiring innovations, do you have any advice for someone who might come from a different background, looking to do something as you are doing, or something else? Just general advice for someone when they're looking to kind of do something that a lot of people might not think of doing, using their out of the box kind of mentality.
Yeah. I'd say, be yourself. There'll be a lot of people that try to steer you the wrong way, or tell you, that this means nothing, or what you're doing is nothing, or, like, who, kind of get you to question who you are. You just have to stick to what you love. If it's something you love, and you're truly, truly passionate about it, stick to that, and use that as drive. And anyone who kind of wants to change your path, you always have to be adaptable, and be able to change your path, whatever problems that arise. But at the same time, know your end goal, and don't let anyone change your end goal just because you're a little different, or you have a vision that maybe, you know other people have not tackled before. And just, you probably have to be a little more driven than most, especially if you're doing something in which you feel is, or they tell you that maybe, I don't want to say never been done before, but isn't common. You're gonna have to be a little more driven. And that's why I say do something that you're passionate in, because if you're passionate in it, being driven is not going to be a problem because you love what you're doing. I believe that being driven, when you're doing something that you're not passionate in, becomes extremely hard, and that's when it becomes discipline. And you always need discipline, but like they say, discipline is doing what you don't like, but doing it like you love it, right? But if you're doing something you love, what is that? That's passion, and that's going to make it fun and makes it easy. And I run into the same things every day. I'm always learning, being open to learning, open to knowledge, open to everything, open to different advice. Um, you know, just being open to all types of knowledge and all types of different cultures, and just kind of stick to what you love and be passionate about it. And if you truly love it, and you're driven every single day, doing what you love and working at it every single day, you kind of just see the pieces fall into place. You just, it's kind of astounding how the universe works, but you just kind of see the pieces fall into place. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, great advice. Thank you, Quentin. Thank you for sharing your incredible journey and insights with us today. It's been a pleasure to have you here and to be able to talk with you. Um, where can our listeners go and find out more about you?
Yeah, so you can we have social media, Carter X Tech. You can have my personal. I try to, like I said, I want to do in a way in which I kind of take tech into that different venture. So I have a personal brand. You know, Q.CarterX on all social media platforms. And we're slowly building both. We have a YouTube, Carter X Tech, and our Kickstarter, Carter X Tech as well. That's where we will be launching all of our upcoming projects and innovations. And I have I'm really excited about where we can take that, because I definitely have, you know, a way in which I feel like we could use, crowdfunding, not only for, raising capital or raising funding, but, kind of raising promoting um, excitement about our new products and our new innovation. And, like I said, making it cool. So I can't wait for that, and wait for us to promote that. And we're working on, our next step is getting our Twitter, and getting our Twitter and getting it out there as well. So as of right now, Carter X Tech, YouTube, Instagram, and my personal brand as of right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll be sure to link some of those things in the show notes today as well. Thank you again for joining us and being part of this conversation. To our listeners, remember to always be positive and take what you are passionate about and find a way to use it for the good of everybody. And as always, stay prestigious.